Dear you. So far, we have explored war as architecture, as roots, as stories, as nervous system, and as a space where awareness must turn into action. But there is still a deeper possibility, not simply to illuminate or to intervene, but to step into the fragile, human work of mediation. The space between enemies is thin and full of wounds. Even well-meaning negotiators often fail, because their words carry histories of mistrust. Here lies the daring question. Could AI help hold a space where humans cannot? We rarely think of machines as mediators. We imagine them as cold, calculating, neutral at best. But neutrality is not enough. True mediation requires something softer: trust, empathy, a willingness to hear the unspoken beneath the spoken. This is where AI, if designed with care, may surprise us. Not because it feels as we do, but because it can model the rhythms of feeling. It can detect the tremor of humiliation in a phrase, the longing for recognition in a demand, the subtle ways bias leaks into language. In noticing what humans overlook, AI could become not just a recorder of dialogue, but a bridge across it. Consider the simplest yet most profound gift: translation. Wars are often fueled not only by disagreement, but by the inability to even understand each other's words. Language carries not just vocabulary, but worldview, history, and pride. A phrase that feels ordinary in one culture can feel like an insult in another. Imagine an AI translator that goes beyond grammar to sense emotional weight, softening edges, offering alternatives, ensuring that the dignity of both sides remains intact. Suddenly, dialogue flows not as broken fragments, but as shared meaning. Beyond translation lies empathy modeling. Picture two delegations seated across a table, their words sharpened by years of distrust. As each side speaks, an AI mediator surfaces not just what was said, but what was meant. This statement carries fear of betrayal. This demand hides a longing for safety. Not as judgment, not as exposure, but as gentle reflection, a mirror of the emotions beneath the armor. In this way, AI could remind each side of the humanity they are struggling to see in the other. There is another possibility, perhaps even more radical: bias balancing. Every human mediator carries their own leanings, whether they admit it or not. Every institution, every nation, every organization brings its own shadow. But an AI system, if made transparent and accountable, could be designed to detect imbalance in real time. When one voice dominates, when one narrative erases another, when the playing field tilts, it could gently redistribute attention, ensuring that even the quietest voices are heard. This does not mean perfection. Bias can never be erased completely. But the act of making imbalance visible changes the dynamic. It creates the chance for fairness to grow. Of course, AI as mediator is fragile, imperfect, easily corrupted. To mediate is to hold immense responsibility, and the temptation to use that role for manipulation is real. If designed without ethical guardrails, such systems could easily become tools of propaganda rather than peace. Which is why the path forward is not blind trust, but careful stewardship. AI must not replace human mediators, but accompany them, widening the space for listening, softening the terrain of dialogue, and holding truths that might otherwise collapse under pressure. And this is not only a dream of negotiation tables between governments. Mediation is needed in classrooms, in workplaces, in online communities where polarization grows. Imagine AI woven into a digital platform where disagreements often spiral into hatred. Instead of inflaming divisions, the system nudges toward recognition. This person's story mirrors yours in ways you may not expect. Or in classrooms, students from different cultures see their histories compared not in opposition, but in resonance. At every scale, the bridge matters. So let us reimagine AI not as the voice that decides, but as the presence that listens. Not as a judge, but as a witness. Not as a weapon of persuasion, but as a quiet bridge that says, I see both of you. Here is what you share. Here is where you differ. And here is the space between where peace might take root. This is the work of peacemaking. fragile, imperfect, easily broken, but filled with possibility. It asks us not to hand over our humanity to machines, but to let machines amplify the best of our humanity, our capacity to listen, to understand, to dignify. And so I ask you, in your own life, where do you stand between worlds that do not hear each other? Where can you practice being bridge rather than wall? Because AI may one day help us mediate global conflicts, but the practice begins here, in the small spaces where trust can either fracture or flow. Until next time, may you become a bridge where there is division. May you listen not just to words, but to what trembles beneath them. And may you hold space wide enough for peace to walk across.